Hello, it's Lindsay here from Lindsay Elliott Coaching. I thought I'd do my video outside today. I was feeling a little bit up in my head and a bit busy trying to write a blog, and I thought, I need some fresh air. I'm going to do my video outside. So I'm in my garden. That's my garden. And just getting a bit of break from my desk. So I just wanted to talk today about something around parenting, because my colleague Marie Aymar and I have started our parenting webinar series this week, and we talked about how our children can't make us feel anything. So I just wanted to talk a bit about that today, in case that's useful for some of you who are parents, or indeed in a relationship with anybody, which is almost, I think everybody on the planet really is in relationship with anybody. So it can look really persuasive that when our children are misbehaving or not listening, and we have a reaction to that inside of us, that it's them causing that. So if they weren't misbehaving, if they weren't not listening, if they would stop shouting or arguing with their sibling, we wouldn't feel riled up about it, we wouldn't feel stressed, and if they just stopped doing that, I'd feel okay. Now I understand completely how, because I used to be there too, that I really understand that looks very persuasive, that your children are acting in a certain way, a feeling appears in you, and you believe that it's come because of their behaviour. What I have seen through an understanding of how life really works, that I work within, called the 3 principles, or the inside out understanding, is that actually our life and our perception of our life is always being created from within us, never from outside of us. Now, that isn't to say that there isn't some interaction with life. Of course there is. We do have the life event of a child bickering with their sibling or not listening to us. But the reaction that we have to that is always in flex and flow. Now, it may seem to you like 99% of the time, or 95% or 90% of the time, if your children are misbehaving, you react with some kind of stress, or shouting, or anger, or impatience, or irritability. It may look that way. And indeed, the percentage may be up that high. But I think if you look closely, you'll see that your children can sometimes be misbehaving, can sometimes be arguing with their siblings, can sometimes be not listening to you, and you have a completely different reaction to it. So I'll give you an example from my own life. It's getting a bit windy out here. Where every morning when my son is getting his uniform on, my son is nearly 7, and when he's getting his uniform on in the morning, he jumps about on the bed like a lunatic, quite frankly. I love him. He just jumps around, and is, takes ages to do it, and he's just messing about, really having fun. And I notice that sometimes my reaction to that is I want to say to him, and indeed sometimes I do, because sometimes it comes out of my mouth, I can't help myself, please stop doing that, just get on with it, you're really irritating me, you're messing up the bed, and some kind of version of a sort of angry and irritated response to it. And then other mornings I notice that I just feel really happy that he's so joyful. I look at him and think, wow, you just can create fun in any moment, you're just having a wonderful time, getting a uniform on fun. And other times I'm pretty neutral to it. I don't really have a lot of thinking about it, probably because I'm thinking about something else. So what I notice from that is that if the same thing is happening but my reaction to it is different, then it can't be him creating the feeling within me. It can't be him creating the feeling of stress or anger or irritation, or the joy and happiness when he is when I'm feeling that way, when I'm feeling like, isn't it wonderful how exuberant he is and how much energy he has. And so I know that it's coming from my thought in the moment about it. It's whatever thought is passing through my mind, so the thought as an energy, and with that comes a feeling. Because what I have seen and what I know to be true now is that we are always feeling our thinking about life. We're not actually feeling life directly. So you can call it your perception, you can call it your thinking, your view, we're always feeling that internally generated thought passing through our minds that brings a feeling attached to it. So thought and feeling are completely almost one energy. Like a nanosecond later, you're going to get a feeling after you've had a thought, and this can be unconscious thought and conscious thought, and we have no control over this. It seems to me we have thoughts passing through our mind, bringing feelings with it, all day, every day, and we have very little choice over what passes through our minds. So once I started to recognise that I was always feeling my thinking about my son and not actually feeling him directly, how did this help me? So first off, just the more deeply that I explored that and saw that in other areas of my life, just quite naturally, without me even looking at my parenting, my mind sort of started to quieten down. And so from that place, I just found I was less reactive. But the other way that it's really helped me is that when I do react in a way that I don't enjoy with him, so for example, if I do shout at him when I wanted to react with patience, or but I didn't, and I found myself shouting, what I find is that because I know that I'm feeling my thinking about it, it's not some defect in me. So I think I used to believe, why am I reacting so stressfully? Why do I sometimes shout at him? He's only little. Why aren't I patient all the time? I've really got to work on myself to do, to correct this. And then when I realised that I was only reacting that way because I was feeling a thought that had come innocently into my mind, I had no control over it. I was feeling that and I was reacting from it. And it took all of the pressure off. Took a lot off of my mind, and I found I was hugely more compassionate to myself as a parent when it did happen. So what I do now is that if I do react with impatience or anger towards my son, when I've settled down, which now takes very little time, within a couple of minutes, I'm realising another thought is coming that's calming me down and bringing a different emotion, because I don't hold on to it as much as I used to. Once I've settled down, I apologise to him. I tell him that my head was full. I say, we have a little phrase now where it's, "Mummy, was your head really full of thinking?" And, I say, "Yes, it was. I'm really sorry." And we move on from it. And I don't need to look at that endless kind of digging around in myself for why am I not a better parent? Why am I so reactive with my kids? Why am I not more patient? I'm human. We're all human. We all feel our thinking. We're not feeling our life. That thinking, that energy, that thought passes through us, is ever changing. We have no control over it. It brings feeling. And we go through this ebb and flow all of the time. And sometimes we're going to be really expanded and thinking that either our mind is super quiet or we're having thoughts that are peaceful and loving. And so we're reacting in that way. And sometimes we're contracted and we're stressed and we're busy and we're up in our heads, and we react from that place. So I just want to be clear that this isn't really about this is not at all about changing your thinking. It isn't about having to monitor your thinking or make sure that you're only thinking happy thoughts so you don't shout at your kids. It's simpler than that, and it's much deeper than that. It's really, for me, the key has been understanding where my experience is coming from and not getting too involved in the process, not getting too caught up when I, in inverted commas, get things wrong, if I'm shout or I'm angry. Because all that does is that just adds more noise into my head. And when my mind is settled, as this is true for any human being, when your mind is settled, quite naturally, you come from a place of love. You come from a place of compassion. You come from a place of patience with your children. So if you're struggling with this, I would really encourage you to sign up to the last 2 webinars of our series, because we're going to be exploring this and many other parenting topics. Or get in touch with me about personal one-to-one coaching, because I really adore helping parents to see that they have everything they need within them already. They have the wisdom to parent their children, even if their children have extra needs or difficulties. And to really be free from that mindset or that belief that says my children need to be a certain way in order for me to be okay. Because I've really seen that isn't true. you know, because also the flip side of it is that when our children, we're really proud of them, and, you know, and they're doing really well and they're behaving, we think, oh, my children are so wonderful, we get a good feeling. We don't want to be attached to either of those as possibilities. We don't want to be seeing that our children are the source of our well-being, because quite simply they're not. The source of our well-being is never outside of us, it's always within us. So yeah, if you're struggling in any way with being a parent, then just get in touch with me, ask a question, get on a free hours call with me, or as I say, please do sign up to our webinar series. Even if you can't join live, then you'll receive the recording. So thank you to those of you who popped on today to watch, and yeah, I'll be back next week with another video. Okay, I'm really quite cold now, so bye bye.